What's up, members of the Barrio? It's John coming to you from the greatest city in the world, New York, and today we are going to be doing a comparison between two cities and one type of food that they each hold near and dear to their heart, the bagel. And we're going to be comparing New York versus Montreal, and I'm going to be trying each type of bagel in this video and letting you know my thoughts on which one I prefer. It's very subjective, but I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. To start this video, we are going to be trying a bagel from Murray's. I have covered these guys before. We did a whole best bagel challenge in New York. While these guys didn't win the video, I do think they're very high quality, so a good sample for the New York bagel. All right, we have got the classic plain bagel with cream cheese. I am keeping this really simple. And the one big factor that Montreal and New York have in common when it comes to the bagel is the large amount of Jewish immigration at the turn of the century. And that's why those two cities are so well known for their bagels, but they are quite different. So here is my first bite of a New York bagel today. I've had so many in my life. I'm so used to these. Soft, chewy, doughy. Now, one of the things that makes New York bagels special is usually you want to put a lot of cream cheese in it or lox, something to add a little bit of extra flavor, and that's where we're going to show you some differences when it comes to the Montreal bagel. But this is just great. I think we actually got a pretty fresh one this time around. Last time I was at Murray's, I don't think it was as fresh. This is definitely the best bagel I've had so far ever from Murray's, but they went absolutely nuts with the cream cheese, which to me is perfectly fine. And one of the big characteristics of New York bagels is that they are pretty large. I mean, look at this thing as I get it really dirty. You know, one bagel with cream cheese, some coffee, you've got a pretty solid breakfast. Sometimes I like to throw egg in if I'm feeling like eating a little bit more, but
I think Murray's is always a good option, especially when you're in the Greenwich Village area. I may personally like bagels on the square a little bit more, which is also closer to my apartment, but these are great bagels. Yeah, they go a little nuts with the cream cheese, but you really can't beat the soft texture, the doughiness of it. And yeah, I really do enjoy the bagels at Murray's, but like John, I am also very curious to try them in Montreal.
My favorite bagel in New York City, you're gonna have to find out. As I mentioned before, check out my bagel challenge video. So we've done your typical analysis of a New York City bagel. Murray's fit just about every common characteristic, but now it's time to find out more about Montreal bagels. And instead of going to a place in New York to do it, we're going to Montreal. Bonjour, we are in Montreal, Quebec. Did you guys really think that I would go to a New York City Montreal bagel place? No, we are in Montreal. I have come here just for this video. Well, sort of. So we're in front of Fairmount Bagels, which is one of the most famous bagel spots in the entire country. I've been told by many locals this is the place to go to try a Montreal bagel. We're gonna see what the differences actually are. Let's get inside that line's forming. The first thing I've noticed since we've walked in is the strong smell of sesame seeds. I love sesame seeds though.
Next please, suivant.
155.
Same?
Yeah.
So this is the second time in my life I've had a bagel in Montreal. I honestly can't remember what the first time was like. So there are a lot of differences here compared to what I'm used to in New York. The biggest one to me that I just noticed right away is the hole in the middle. Look how big this is. This just, it feels like something different, even though I know it is still a bagel and it still has the same Jewish roots in Poland. That's the first thing. The second is it seemed like the default choice at Fairmount was sesame seed, which I love. Sesame is one of my favorites. For other people, they did have different choices, but you saw sesame in just about every single bag, so you can tell this is the fan favorite. The other thing is, this is a lot smaller than your typical New York bagel, and in my hand, it's very light, very dense. They do boil this in water that has honey in it, so we're gonna see if I notice that sweetness on the first bite. Let's go. I put some cream cheese in. In Montreal, they don't apply cream cheese for you. You have to get a little tiny tub of it. You do it yourself outside. New York, they just go crazy with it. So very different, but still a bagel. Here we go. New York versus Montreal. The taste, it just feels completely different to me. A little sweeter. I would say a little less doughy. It feels so strange to eat a bagel this dense. Like I'm expecting more of a bite. With cream cheese, I like it. I actually do appreciate the slightest little sweet flavor coming from this. But I am such a New York traditionalist when it comes to bagels. I'm still a fan of New York bagels. I would prefer a New York bagel over this. I think this is great. If you come to Montreal, come here. This is excellent. But it's just not what I'm used to. When you grow up with something and you try a different style of it, it's tough to adapt to it. I think we'll leave it at that. And now, I've got a few friends with me. Two of them who live in New York. And we're gonna get their opinions about Montreal versus New York bagels.
Yeah, so I just finished it. I couldn't wait while he was filming. He ate it. I'm gonna go New York bagel. I like this. It's like a good treat, but it kind of reminds me of like a pretzel. A little sweeter, denser pretzel.
Like, give me a second to compose myself. I'm gonna give my thoughts. I think I'm gonna echo some of their sentiments and say that I do like the New York bagel better. It's good, but to me, it's a lot smaller. It tastes more like a snack, like something I would just nibble on between a meal. Well, a bagel to me is like a full on breakfast, and more of a doughy taste. Yeah, I like the sweetness, but I really do like in New York that they put all that cream cheese in there. It really blends in well when you eat it. Here, it feels more like I'm just dipping something into some cream cheese and eating it as a quick bite. I like it, but I still have to say New York is number one.
I'm from California, so I don't know bagels, right? But I've been to New York quite a bit. And this really does taste like a pretzel. So, there's flies all over the place. But yeah, it's very dense, a little sweet, but much more like Auntie M's pretzels, more than a bagel. I don't know, that's probably offensive to the Montreal bagel people, but yeah, it's good, but like John said, it's not a meal. Like Alan said, it's not a meal, it's a snack. Very little cream cheese. This is like a quarter of the cream cheese you get on a New York bagel. But it's cheap.
One thing to add is that these are piping hot. Even when you're holding it in your hand, I've never had a New York bagel that felt this warm as soon as I gave it to you. And they must have like 50 or 100 bagels, especially the sesame ones, all sitting in one area. So I'm just curious how they keep them all so warm when they give it to you. It's very impressive.
Montreal bagel and a New York bagel, they are so different that honestly, I just don't really think it would be fair to truly compare them if you're used to one style over the other. So you guys gotta tell me down below in the comments, it's your turn. Have you had both bagels and which one do you like more? That is what I'm really curious about. Because for me, a bagel will always be the Northeastern New York style bagel. Just what I grew up with. But Fairmount was fun. I've just got too many spots in New York City that I am really, really fond of. And by the way, Montreal is absolutely a gorgeous, amazing city. And I recommend anybody watching this video, come to Montreal for the bagels, for the poutine, for the amazing culture, the amazing nightlife, so many really cool things going on. Guys, of course, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe down below for even more adventures from New York City and beyond. Until next time.